Hi, I'm Karen Gibbs, Creative Director of Banyan Boutiques by Northcott, and we are covering the April 2022 release. Right now I'm going to cover Stargazer. It's a guest designer collection by Bound to Be Quilting. Mimi and Pat designed this collection. Let's talk about that for a second. Guest designers in boutiques, you don't get to see their name on a selvage. They don't get to see their name on an end of a bolt, okay? So why do guest designers work with boutique companies? And what's the difference of using a guest designer versus doing a regular collection? For Banyan, we do it a little bit differently. I work with guest designers and I look for different things, not necessarily, each one's different, I guess. So I look and see where they come from geographically. How about that? That's one thing. Like Linda Hahn is a New Jersey girl who lives in Florida. Okay, so it makes my East Coast reps pretty happy. Patty Carey and Daphne Gregg, Canada. So I'm making my Canadian reps happy. Scott Flanagan, Nebraska. I'm making the middle of the country happy. So I thought, Colorado, I could make myself happy and the Colorado rep happy as well. Pat and Mimi come from Colorado. And the way I found them actually was from quilt shops. So they recommended their patterns over and over again, their projects, because they like working with them. They're also the authors of our and creators of our block of the month this time around. So I really thought maybe I would like to work with them as designers for a collection. Now, do the guest designers have to have an art background? Do they have to have created surface pattern designs or something like that? No, they don't. Okay, I work with them choosing color, and we have a whole process. And it really starts out with focus. I don't start out with a name, and I recommend they don't start out with a name either. More of a focus, because it's very easy to think, oh my gosh, I love this color palette. Oh, I love this color palette. These motifs make me happy. But you have to kind of narrow it down. And so that's kind of the process that we do go through. Each one of these designs is their design. In other words, you're not going to see it in another collection. I'm not just putting their name on the collection and saying that it was curated by them. It is their collection. All right. So they focused this collection, Stargazer, very much on like the Northern Lights palette and those kind of drawings or motifs. That's what they wanted to focus on. So you can tell behind me all of the different colorations and the motifs. We've got kind of the wind and the movement in the sky of color. We've got almost like a Milky Way type drawing. We've got those stars and moons, almost reminiscent of your kids' bedroom ceilings, right? With the glow in the dark little plastic things stuck on that take forever to get off. Those. And that's that kind of motif. But it gives the feeling of the Northern Lights or the Stargazer kind of palette. Now, when I do invite a guest designer and they've established a palette that they like, it's usually the first collection that I put into a release, because I don't want to duplicate. I don't want to duplicate the feel of the collection. I don't want to duplicate the color palette of the collection. I want them to be successful in their collection and be able to come up with another one and have more collections as well. They've put a lot of work into it. Another thing is the guest designers are, I asked them to make sure to support it with projects. And if you look in the lookbook, oh my goodness, the projects that Mimi and Pat came up with are just fantastic. For me, this color palette is very, very traditionally boutique, right? We love this color palette. But what they've done with it in the projects in the lookbook is just fantastic. They've embraced a traditional kind of look with it. Some of the projects, they've put bags in there, they put table runners in there, and then also because we're offering fat quarter bundles as well as strip sets, they put a couple different projects reflecting how they would see those being used. So I think it's a very wonderful palette, wonderful collection. and it's showcased so beautifully well. Now make sure you look at the lights. There's some interesting, very light or backgroundy kind of pieces. And I would almost think maybe a children's quilt, okay? Very soft pastel with the pink, okay, and the blue. So it's very interesting. It can go many different ways. You can marry the colorways together like we did in the pre-cuts. But love the different projects in here, so make sure you check out the lookbook. It's going to be absolutely very easy to hit your Sweet 16 in February, because that's when this